All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Kakariko Classic, and we have a really good match about to go down here between Habble and Torje, two players who have already left a significant mark on the game, and I am joined by Zyphris here. Very excited to do more commentary with Zyphris.
Yeah, today has already been a pretty interesting day, and I'm excited to see what we got going on here. And glad to be commentating with Thunder. Of course, always fun, good company. Um, I'm honestly, we, I think this is the first time that we're gonna see, and probably the only time that we're gonna see anybody playing on the N64 today. So that is really interesting. Habble is a N64 runner, so or at least is now. I know she used to play on VC for Gimrout and such, but yeah, we're about to get started here. I'm gonna hop down and let them know that they're ready to start, and then or that they're good to start, and then we're gonna be
Sounds good.
off.
Um, I actually talked to Habble before the tournament, and she was saying that she prefers playing on N64 now, much more to VC, just in general. So, um, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see two different consoles going at it. Um, but yeah, interesting to also see the routes will probably be pretty similar because both players, I believe, will be opting for stick. So I don't know if we've seen a head-to-head with both using stick and not going with sword so far. So could be interesting there. But this is a really high caliber matchup, and really I've been really looking forward to this match in particular. We've had a lot of really close races so far, a lot of really good matches. Um, but yeah, this was one that just sort of caught my eye in terms of excitement factor. So I'm looking forward to what we get from this one. So both runners are currently getting ready, currently on the file select screen. Looks like they're both ready to go. I am assuming the countdown is going to be going on just about now, and the racers will get going. We've already seen something pretty crazy today from Torje. He got the rock hess at the top of the tower, did a full circle around the top of the tower, and then went down the tower with the hess and hit instaclip, which was pretty insane. I don't know if I've ever seen that before in a race. So that was really unique to see. And welcome back, Zyphris.
Thank you, thank you.
But yeah, the 360 instaclip, that was really exciting to watch. So
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if Torje can pull off anything else like that during the rest of this tournament. Wouldn't put it past them. But yeah, so just as we just explained, so both runners going for stick here. So excuse me, we're gonna see a much similar Aqua Escape probably, and I think it's gonna be really interesting to watch this run closely because when two runners of two very good runners are doing the same route, it's really interesting just to look at the subtle differences. And Torj is a little bit ahead right now in the forest, just using really clean movement. Habble is just a little bit behind. Really interesting to see what strats we see here in the Lost Woods. Torj using those side hops. Um, and it looks like Habble will also be using side hops into a different setup here.
nice
Oh, the
getting pushed for Aqua Escape.
the races may not be synced, but that's all right. Habble taking some accidental Octorok damage there. Torje just having to adjust. That's a really tough angle, and he's not going to get the red rupee there. Just an ESS turn, and maybe a little bit of RNG, unfortunately, not on his side there. That side hop is really weird, because sometimes you get lucky with the 2 ESS, and you get it, and sometimes you might not. That might have been 3 ESS, though. I think that 2 ESS is usually safe. I'm not sure if I've ever honestly missed it on 2 ESS, but that looked a little bit too much of a turn there. But now both runners pretty much right at the same exact spot.
Torje's
Habble
time of
with,
day is a little scuffed.
yeah.
Okay, we made it.
I don't think that should be. Yeah, Torje had plenty of time, honestly. But yeah, it always gets a little bit nervy when the sky starts to turn. But yeah, both runners approaching that first Cucko, and like we talked about yesterday, I think this Cucko segment, it's such a long segment, and it's a segment that's present in so many speedruns in Ocarina of Time. You know, it's just a really interesting segment to sort of analyze while runners are doing it and see, you know, what little movement strats are each runner doing here. So, you know, it's interesting. Like, I wonder, right? So Torje, so both runners here go to the left of the watchtower. You might see some runners going to the right. Habble is just going to make the ledge there. That's a little bit scary. But yeah, I mean, I think to be expected, both runners are very, very close. And yeah, not too much to split in terms of differences right now. Torje having to go and get that faraway chicken, so that's going to lose him some time. Habble with a nice jump. Good turn here for that chicken.
Yeah, so far pretty clean run from both runners, and looks like we're having like a few minor flubs with picking up the Cuccos, but I mean that's just this segment, right? Sometimes it's really awkward trying to pick up the Cuccos, and this one right here that Torje is gonna have to pick up, really awkward, but Torje manages to grab it without any issues, luckily.
Yeah, that third Cucko in the last 3 can be really difficult depending on how the RNG works. It can literally go like right in between her legs, and it's like impossible to pick up, and you'll automatically talk to her. So, really difficult, and it's also really difficult to just do this segment perfectly. I mean, you're gonna see a lot of minor mistakes in even a really good Cucko segment. I mean, there are just so many factors in that segment to consider that it's just so hard for, you know, to consider all the RNG and the movement and just the player execution. Very difficult to execute that segment in a way that looks completely perfect in a way, I guess.
Yeah, something to take note of right there. While they were both save warping, you could see that Habble, since Habble is on N64, there was no text for needing the classic controller, so she was able to just reset and immediately see the spinning Nintendo 64 logo, saving some time over Torje because Torje is playing on the Wii Virtual Console. So a little bit of the time that might have been spent on a trick like Mido Skip with extra pause buffers or anything like that. You know, definitely giving a little bit of an advantage to Habble here, but I'm sure both runners will be able to make something happen here with these next segments. Habble going for that side hop jump slash unbuffered is a little crazy.
I'm telling you, Habble came here to play.
Some N64 pause buffering happening here.
Oh no.
That we all know and love. Oh my goodness.
Both runners, Torje now getting Mido Skip. Habble is stuck on this one frame. And honestly, pause buffering on N64, pause buffering on GameCube, it's just not the same as pause buffering on VC. Habble really struggling with this pause here, and
Oh
that
my
might have been
goodness.
2 frames?
Yeah, it was. It was. That is so cursed. The N64
I
pause
will,
buffering is really, really bad.
I will tell you from experience, I've done that so many times, like on Corpse Push, playing on GameCube for Defeat Ganon. When you pause buffer a frame for that long, and then you pause buffer 2 frames by accident, it's so frustrating. Like it's one of the most frustrating things in speedrunning, I think.
Yeah, it is a really unfortunate thing to have to deal with. You know, pause buffering tricks can be a blessing that we have the technology and capability to do so. There we go. We get the first try, frame perfect pause. Hopefully we can get this. Oh, this is a frame early, I believe. Yeah, there we go. This should be good.
Nice, and
And we
Habble is
got it.
through.
Nice.
Torje about to attempt the what do you call this? What do you call the Skulltula ISG jump?
This is Skulltula, like the B1, like Skulltula
B1?
B1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ISG B1?
Yeah, ISG B1, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Torje opting for fast scrubs,
Yeah.
unfortunately
That
not
was
getting...
a little bit of a tough camera and a tough position for Torje. In terms of approaching the scrubs. I think just got up a little bit close there. I think he would have had it. But just getting that middle scrub to pop down. That's also really frustrating in this route, is when you get a little too close to the scrub and it loses you that much time. Very frustrating, because it's a matter of, it's a matter of pixels, really. Or frames, whatever you want to say. But Torje now going into Goma. And I believe both runners will go for Goma Clip. Obviously, there is no option to go for double KO without the sword.
Yeah, I mean, unless Habble decides to get an extra stick and do broken stick on the wall and try and get double KO, I don't think she's going for that, though. It would be much slower than just doing Goma Clip, and I know that Habble is a runner capable of doing Goma Clip. Having some struggle getting that backward side hop. I think it's something that doesn't get mentioned a lot, but backward side hops are not they're not very hard, but they're not as easy as most runners make it look. I mean, in general, speedrunning, I would say, is just not ever as easy as some people make it look. Whenever you watch like runners like Torje, or I mean, even like other categories, like watching ZFG do 100%, just like the effortlessness of some of the tricks that are performed, like it is a lot of time and practice put into this stuff, and both of these runners here have put a lot of time into this route, into this category in general, so it's definitely showing today in the races.
Absolutely. It's honestly like a privilege to be able to watch some of these runners play this route, because it's this very I don't know, sort of this ancient manifestation of nostalgia in OOT. And to see, some of the runners who set the groundwork for a lot of Defeat Ganon to be, playing today and playing this route today,
Ooh.
I think is a privilege.
Habble getting very good pause buffers this time around. 2 frame perfect pause buffers for that, even though the first one wasn't successful. The second one absolutely successful and very quick. Very nicely done from Habble on that Goma clip.
The question is, can Torje go 3 for 3 on Instaclips today?
I think so. I think, no commentator bias, but you know, Torje's definitely my goat. When I see this guy go for Instaclip, I know what's gonna happen. So I have full faith in Torje's capability here. Also, this is going to be a very funny thing to notice is the difference between VC lag here. This is about like 17 FPS roughly for Instaclip. As we
He
can see,
hit it.
Torje, yeah,
He hit it.
he's got it. He
Oh
went a little too
no!
far with the ESS
That
turns at
looked
the end,
really good.
unfortunately. It's rather that or he untargeted a frame late.
I think he had the frame. He just it didn't clip. Something went wrong in the setup, but it looked really good. A little bit confused, honestly, why that didn't work. It's so hard to tell in real time with Instaclip, you know, like it's a
Yeah, the
double
way that
frame
I look
perfect
at it
clip.
is the B button. I'm always looking at the B button and trying to see when the untarget happens
Yeah.
to see if that's, you know, what's going on. I mean, it's hard to see without sword because sword is like sort of the visual cue for it, but I feel like it was rather one frame late on target or just a messed up angle at the end. Torj, I believe, if yeah, I was about to say
Oh,
if I
he
know
went for the
Torj,
unbuffered Void Warp. He's
yeah,
going for Void
Torj,
Warp unbuffered.
yeah, Torj is going all in on this race, trying to make a statement with, you know, just absolute swag strats. Like you don't see people go for that unbuffered a lot. Like you don't see that. It is not easy, but I think you know, having an adapter for this makes it a lot easier to switch those angles a lot more comfortably. So that definitely makes like that part right there a little bit easier to do unbuffered, but still not easy.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like this race is just a little bit out of reach for Habble. Even with a clean instaclip, it's just not going to be enough. It looks like, unless obviously things can happen at the Ganon fight. But
Why do I feel like there's less lag on this on N64? Why does it feel like that? Kind of looks like there's a little less lag than I remember there being. There we go. There's the frame.
this looks pretty good, actually.
That's a good. Yep, that's a good on target
I
time.
don't know about that second one. Yeah, I think
Ooh.
maybe it was a frame early on the B button. I'm not sure though. That's tough. That was honestly though a really good first instaclip attempt from Habble. Like that was really clean.
For sure. Some bug drinking time. Let's go. Any bug drinkers?
Gotta know your backups. Ooh, that's a very tough rock.
Yeah.
This is that is also a tough rock. Getting the rocks, as long as the angle is fine, just the closer, I think the closer to that, there are pros and cons, right? Because certain rocks are better for your angle. Like that was a really good rock. Because it was a decent position in like the middle of the platform, and it gave Habble a really good angle.
Ooh. I don't know if that's gonna work. Yeah.
They dropped the SS.
There we
Habble getting
go.
Void Warp. And looks like Torje is about to start the fight with Ganon.
Looking like maybe a high 17 for Torje.
Yeah, another really good time for Torje. I think as long as this fight goes fine and Torje doesn't die, this will pretty much seal up the 1 seed for Torje. We still do have more matches tonight, but I think that's the way it's looking. But we will have seeding after the races conclude today for the bracket.
I think unless a tragedy occurs, I think that top 1 seed is secured for Torje, like you were saying.
A little bit of an awkward second phase at the start for Torje, but it looks like he has it under complete control now.
Just one more hit to secure this victory for Torje,
I want
and
to
it's looking like
I just want to point something out because the way that Torj does Ganon is the way that you should do Ganon. And essentially what I mean by that is that he doesn't move that much under Ganon's feet. You'll see a lot of newer players move a lot in terms of the distance they cover back and forth. And it just like it's just better to move basically as the less you move the better. Because the more you go out like into Ganon's melee range, it's just more dangerous and it's gonna be if you do it the right way, you won't provoke the spinning from Ganon. I think some people might think, well, if you're too under his feet, if you're not covering a lot of distance, are you going to make him spin? There's a way to be in front of him without, necessarily being in that range, and sort of moving back and forth in a controlled and short manner is really how you want to do that Ganon fight. But yeah, that 1730, I think that is gonna get that one seed for Torj, who really sent it. We've seen pretty much. I think we've seen a lot of runners come out and just full send strats, which has been really fun to watch and really entertaining. We've seen some runners play a little bit more safe with their strats and be very consistent, and that's also been entertaining as well. We've seen some different styles of play in these group stage matches, and it's been very interesting to just watch, the races, the matchups, and sort of envision how the bracket might unfold, and just to see how these players compete.
Habble getting the backflip there. That's really nice. The backflip actually just pushes you. I don't know if it's actually going to help Habble. Yeah, it barely helps a little bit there for Habble, but one thing to note about that backflip is it is a really tight timing, and essentially the idea for it is that you just want to push Link a little bit further in front of Ganon so that you have less time to walk to the Master Sword to collect it to get back into the fight sooner. So it does save a little bit of time. I guess it's not the end of the world if you don't get it, but it is about a roll's length away that it would save. So I would say it's totally worth going for if you can get it down in practice and consistently do it. But Habble closing out their run here.
Yeah, just around 20 minutes. I think it's a very fair start for Habble. I think there were some things in that run, like Mito Skip, that didn't exactly go to plan, but I think overall this time is going to be very sort of satisfactory, shall we say, for Habble for the first race.
And there we go. Habble finishing out, and that's looking like a pretty solid time. It's always great seeing the timer be like close to a year. It's always fun.
Yeah.
Because it makes me think about what was I doing in 2012, and I think the worst part about that is that I was like 10 years old, and my older brother was telling me that the Mayan calendar was ending and that the world
Oh
was going to
yeah.
end. So
Yeah.
yeah, in 2012, I really thought that was my last year. So and here we are, 2024, 12 years later.
Here we are. But yeah, let's get the racers in here and see what's on their minds.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Torj. What a great race. Another really good time. Uh, so going for the 3 for 3 on Instaclip, what exactly did you feel went wrong during that? Was it just the rock at the end that made you not clip, or did you not get the clip frame?
No, I didn't get the clip frame. So
Okay.
my angle was too steep coming into Zelda, so like I had to target Zelda really late. But if you target Zelda too late, then you like mess
Right.
up. So like I had too steep of an angle for me to get it physically, I think, which sucks. Or if it's possible there, it's really tight.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's hard to. I think that's such a hard trick to be consistent at, especially in a race. But
Yeah, it's terrible to troubleshoot, so you don't really know what goes wrong all
yeah,
the time.
definitely. Habble, I would say that's a pretty good start for you for the tournament. How did you feel about that first race?
Uh, pretty good. Aside from that buffering on the miter skip, could have done without that. But you know, it's
Right. That
it
one
happens.
frame. That I was saying how
Yeah.
frustrating that
I
must
saw
have
that
been
thing
to
for like
pause on that
12
frame.
seconds. I don't know.
That is N64 pause buffering for you. I mean, it's just a slight difference in change. Yeah, it's rough.
All right. Well, I believe our next match is scheduled to happen at 6:45. What is our next match? Is it Habble versus Zeru? Habble versus Zeru. All right. So I guess we'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we will be back with another match in the Kakariko Classic. So stay tuned. we are back with another match here. We got Habble versus Zeru, and we have. Looks like the racers are about to both be at the file select screen, and we're just about good to go. This race, we're gonna have a countdown. I believe we have some audio coming through. But yeah, we should be getting going real quick right here. But we've seen a lot of really exciting races so far, not just today, but in these first 2 days of this tournament. And I think that this tournament is just going to get more exciting as it develops because this group stage, although is very exciting in and of itself, it's just for seeding. So, you know, when we get into the latter stages of the tournament, namely the bracket stage, the playoffs with the best of 3, that's where it's really going to be very, very entertaining, I think. So it looks like Zeru will be going for sword here. So we will see those route differences here. And Habble, just like she did last race, will be going for stick once again.
Can I get the rupee? Oh no.
Oh, did Habble miss the rupee? That's tough. That rupee there can be very interesting.
Yeah, not the start that Habble was hoping for, but I think it doesn't waste too much time, I guess, so...
Yeah, it seems that that rupee, that elusive rupee that Habble missed is maybe caused a little bit of stress. I don't know, just a bonk there and equipping stick not out of shop. I guess it was a little bit confusing because she had to go back and get that rupee, but just a few mistakes from Habble here. But I am confident she will make it up with some very, very clean gameplay for the rest of the run, as she's ahead here, as a matter of fact. Zeru is just now entering the Lost Woods. And a very nice and clean quick escape from Habble. It's interesting how in most categories we see Link going across the bridge and staying on land for longer in this Zora's River segment, but with this route we see a lot of runners opting to go straight to the water.
Yeah, swimming is pretty fast at certain points of the stream, so... Interesting setup for that. It didn't end up working, but definitely interesting idea there. Really high up for the side up, but manages to make it work.
Yeah, Dan noting that the purpose of going into the water early there is for the rupees.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So that is definitely something worth noting. As Zeru is now going into Kakariko, and Habble is now collecting Cuckoos. So both runners are around a similar spot. Habble is probably a decent bit ahead here, probably about 30 seconds. Maybe a little bit less than that, 20 to 30 seconds, somewhere around that. But again, like we've said sort of throughout this tournament, this Cucko segment, so much can happen, so many variables. It'll be really interesting to see how these runners line up in terms of timing once they get the bottle.
That Cucko tempting Habble with opening the door there.
It's always tough.
Yeah. Opening that door would mean that all the Cuckos reset their positions and she would have had to grab all of them over again, which would not have been good. So good job on the patience there to not collect the Cucko. It's always so, like, this segment is such a meme, honestly. It is like an essential part of a majority of speedruns in this game, and it is also one of the most awkward, like, the most awkward segments to do really well. So,
Yeah.
seeing how different people handle it is always interesting. I think that Cucko, hopefully it runs off to the right, but it looked like it might have gotten stuck there on Habble's end. We will find out when she jumps here.
Someone who I really like to watch do Cuckos is Spittle. Because Spittle, you know, has just run so much like MST and all dungeons and just done this segment so many times. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting to watch how he does it and the very subtle like choices he makes that sort of make him a very like elite player at this segment. And
Yeah, a lot of people, you can tell somebody's done a lot of Cuckos just by their general movement around Kakariko and like the timing of like the fat guy that runs up the stairs there, the carpenter. When you see that carpenter, like if you see that carpenter while you're running up, then you know that you've lost a little bit of time to rather Cuckos or just movement, and you know there's that on top of like if he's nowhere to be seen, like you've got a really good pace. So
that's a really good point that Dan just made, actually, is like teaching Cuckos is hard. You kind of just have to like watch a bunch of runs and like watch how the people who have already done a lot of Cuckos do it, and then you just sort of apply what you've seen and you try to mimic the movement, and then you feel it out, and it's like, I don't know, it's just such a unique segment. I don't know, like there's segments like Gim, you know, in old Clippy Ganon, or like Corpse Push in a lot of runs, where those are very teachable tricks. You might want to argue that with Gim, maybe it's not, but especially with like Corpse Push. Bless you. Oh my goodness. Was that you, Dan?
that was Dan. I don't know if that got
Holy
picked up on stream, but
Yes.
Habble getting
It definitely got
first
picked
try.
up.
It did? Okay. Oh, okay,
Oh,
cool.
no. Okay, alright. Dan just had a very emphatic sneeze in the Discord, so that's what we're reacting to.
Yeah, there might have been a bit of an explosion there too. You might have to check on Dan after this.
You're good. The other thing with teachable and shorter segments is that they're much easier to master. Whereas you have a segment like Cuckos where it's longer and it's not really teachable, and you have some runners doing slightly different things, so it's like, what do I do? And it's sort of, you have to grow into it as a runner.
Yeah, I mean that's something interesting to mention just in general, like the capability of like being able to do tricks. Like you can be a runner who can do tricks, but if you don't have good movement, that's what really separates you. Like if any of you recall the name Pity or Pidicris, Pity used to run this game a long time ago, and I showed them a run of mine a while ago, and they're like, "You look really solid at being able to do all the hard tricks, but you suck at movement." And I was like, "Well, like, trying to figure out like, really like where does it come from?" But all the time loss is really just like the movement, and in having somebody like really point that out and show you that like you can do all of the stuff that makes the run like possible but really narrowing down that movement is something that a lot of people struggle with, and it is probably like a really overlooked thing in this category is just general movement, because like we have to save as much time as we possibly can at any given time. Like there's no like, you know, one trick rules all here. Like, yeah, we have to do wrong warp and such, but movement is a big deal. Having really good strat and really good movement is a big deal. Like right there, we see a really clean B1 jump from Zeru, getting the perfect pause buffer and just getting right up there, getting the nut and ready to go.
Yeah, it is so important. And honestly, like I actually remember when you were teaching me a lot of this, or a lot of Defeat Ganon, you very much like stressed the movement aspects of where I could improve. And I think that was something that helped me a lot, because I didn't realize that like, oh, I'm losing like a second not rolling close enough to the wall here, or like, you know, I don't know, not doing a side hop here, turning this way. And like I think that was really important for me as I was like sort of as I was getting better at the Gim route and like starting to get closer to the top times. Like, because I spent a lot of time, like, it's weird to say this, but I spent a lot of time like being new at Ocarina of Time. I spent like a lot of time doing actually like Kakariko route and like playing an emulator and stuff. And then like I had to make a decision sort of where it was like I can, you know, I think every speedrunner gets to that point where it's like, well, like I'm pretty good at this, I like it, like do I push myself to go for a lofty goal? Like, you know, it's speedrunning's so interesting in terms of like goal setting and how things
I think it's
develop
anything
too, you know.
I think it's anything competitive, really. Like, you know, I've seen it happen to me in other games as well, and just other things I've taken seriously in my life. Like, you know, I think it's Zeru having to do a reset here with Goma. Luckily they saved, but they are going to die and reset the room so that they can get better manipulation with Goma, as Habble is doing wrong work. But yeah, back to my point. I think you know, in anything competitive, it becomes that part where like, hey, when do I want to start taking this more seriously, and like how do I want to approach doing that? So it really is something that you have to decide on. And you know, like Thunder mentioned, I remember watching Thunder roll to the Deku Tree. And Thunder was just kind of rolling all over the place.
No, I wasn't. Come on.
Yeah, you were rolling all over the place, and I was like, yeah, so you want to roll very specifically. And he's like, I didn't think about the importance of that. But it is those small little things that you pick up, because it's not something that it's not something that is necessarily like taught. If you go look on a video like how to do Ocarina of Time any % at the time back in the day, or I guess it would be more like how to, you know, do a certain kind of trick. Like, it tells you how to get the frames of the trick and know when you've got it right. But it doesn't tell you like that you need to have like a clean movement here so that you're not wasting any time, because all that time that you waste with movement, you're essentially losing that time from performing those harder tricks anyway, just by having sloppy movement. So if you can overall correct those mistakes, that's what really sets you apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting too, because like I think a lot of players who have reached that like high intermediate level and like want to compete with the best players, like they'll compare their runs, right? Like I certainly did that. Like, you know, you watch the best players to get better. Like it's like studying film and sports.
Habble getting the up clip. That is a massive save. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that is
no, it's all good.
Up clip is very difficult to get and to nail. So really good job on Habble there. So I think we should actually explain that real quick before we continue. Up clip is a interesting thing. So if you when you do insta clip, when you go into the corner and you target a frame or two late, I believe it's within a frame or two. It might even be just one frame, but you can save the clip through the wall if you hold up when you clip through the wall. And if you actually see Link clip through the wall, then I believe you're supposed to hold right. Or you might just continue holding up or go back to neutral. I can't remember exactly, but holding up there when you've gone too far can actually clip Link through the wall still and save it. You hold full right, yeah, so okay, that's what I thought. So you hold full right after you get the up clip, and then it'll save the run at that point, because otherwise you have to do Void Warp, right? And nobody wants to do Void Warp.
Did Zeru just break stick?
Zeru did just break stick. Very unfortunate.
There's been some really interesting stuff this race. I know we've been talking like a lot in general and not necessarily in the context of the race. There's been some really interesting stuff. I saw Zeru go for like a setup for the torch, like the torch jump slash that I've never seen before. They targeted the block and then started back walking and then did a, or I don't know if there was an S turn there, but it was a setup I've never seen before. It was interesting.
It might be something that they've just come up on the spot with.
Probably, but still, like it's cool to see all the different strides.
I think here, yeah, that works. Luckily enough, that like holding left there was definitely necessary. Unfortunately, it seems like Goma might be trolling Zeru again. This is really unfortunate, but luckily Zeru had the foresight to see if anything was to go wrong here that they should have collected more nuts, so that's very good. Yeah, it seems, yeah, I would say the same. I think that typically what I see runners do for Goma Clip, at least that looks the best to me, is that always what I see is they run back, like they do one roll back and then they do ISG, because it manipulates Goma to move into a certain spot, and it also gives them time, so like Goma starts moving faster and goes closer to at least the spot where you want. Like this spot right here looks a lot better. I mean, it still looks a little far to the right, but it does still work, yeah. Because you don't want Goma to be too close to the wall to your left, but you also don't want her to be too far either. But luckily this time around. Yeah, it looks like Habble is having a really good time.
This is really good. I think it's, yeah. This might be N64 pace for world record. I'm not exactly sure what N64 world record is, to be honest. I think it's a low. She is having a little bit of a panic moment here, but once you get ISG,
Doesn't Josh have it?
Habble actually just recently took it.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. I can check the time really quick. I think they posted it in the TV channel. Let me see.
Is it the low like low percent, or just like in general defeat Ganon?
Oh well, I guess the low. I'm confused now because that was low percent and there's the N64 world record. So I'm not. I don't remember exactly which one. So, but yeah, I'm not sure what the time is for N64. Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a sloppy Ganon to end the run, but overall, like a really, really solid run for Habble, and definitely a great run in terms of the group stage and in terms of the seeding.
I might be wrong on this, but I think this is the second fastest run.
I believe so. What?
17:17. Yeah, I believe our other fastest run was 17:26. So.
GG's.
17:05 and then 17:26. So yeah, GG's to Habble for taking this race, and a really good run. Baylor.
17:05 is their fastest time.
It's 17:04, I think. Or 5. So 17:05. Yeah. From Baker. Baylor.
Does anyone know, like, can anyone just post in the chat, respectively, like, what low percent world record is and what... Oh, no, Zeru, that's unfortunate. I'm just curious about the N64 record and the low percent record. $15.54. So low percent is slower. I guess that makes sense.
It's crazy to think that Baker has a 1539 on VC. That's insane.
Well, he's pretty good at the video game.
No, but like, like that's VC.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Right.
So many talented players play this game. I mean, not even
yeah.
just like, I guess, I don't know. Some people, I guess, don't like the word talent, but I think skilled is probably a more broad term, but definitely like people that put a lot of time and effort into mastering their craft on the game. And I think that's what's awesome about speedrunning, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, you know, the comparison that you have between others. I think it's just about, I think, especially with people that are trying to get the fastest time possible, they're trying to push the game to its limits, push themselves and push the game to its limits. And you know, that's what I think is beautiful about Ocarina of Time, is that, or just speedrunning in general, really, is pushing the game to its limits, and you know, optimizing. I love optimizing stuff personally. You know, I play a lot of MMOs, so optimization is a big factor in those, especially when you're trying to play at a high level. And I think that's what I carried it over from this game. You know, other games as well, like Rocket League. You know, love gaming in general, but you see like optimization in strategy and just in consistency, and it's just really cool to see, like, in a game where it doesn't really matter when you're like comparing yourself to other people, just comparing yourself to the previous version of yourself. You always grow in a game like this, and I mean, it's been such an honor to see people grow over time. And I mean, you know, I've had people that taught me this game, Baker being one of them, and Dan as well, and passing on that knowledge to Thunder and seeing how good Thunder has gotten. It's just like, it's just seeing like, it's like just timeless, you know what I mean? That's what's beautiful about games like this, and just a community like this. It's always timeless. It always just passed down and passed down generation to generation, and really cool.
Yeah, I think what you said about like everything being like relative is so true, you know, and it's like I appreciate like the, you know, what you've said, like, but it's funny because, like, you know, I've done almost like 1,000 runs of the newer Ganonless route, right? Like with the new trick, and it was so crazy how, like, I saw TKC do 3 or 4 runs and like significantly destroy my time. Like,
Oh yeah.
It really is relative, and there are like levels, you know, like,
Yeah.
I think it's really good to have, you know, those top players to motivate you, but it's also like you also have to reflect and not. There's a way to compare, I think, right? There's a way to like study and like learn, but there's also a way to like get in your head, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you let it get in your head, like, you're taking it personally, and you're saying like, hey, like, you know, this person is, you know, they're playing a certain kind of way, and they're doing some really crazy strats, and like, you know, they came and they destroyed it. But you can also look and be like, this is what's possible, and this person put in so much time, and that is just so impressive. And you know, you can take it as a point of like, I want to be there, right? And
Oh
and
yeah.
have more motivation. So like, I think probably the best example of this that I've seen in recent years, within this category specifically, is around the time that SRM was found and the category was renamed to Defeat Ganon No SRM. There was a time where I feel like really the only person that was really competing for world record, or at least close enough to it to where it was actually sub, I think it was like 1650, I think it was around that time, was Richard. And then later on, I think more people started to come back and really try and push it. And then Lawzoots comes out of nowhere. I mean, Lawzoots is, people know him as an incredible runner in other categories, but Lawzoots comes out of nowhere, just does Baba Hess, just starts doing Baba Hess in every run, which is ridiculous, by the way. Baba Hess, regardless if you have an adapter or not, that trick is incredibly difficult, incredibly precise, in multiple ways. Like, you have to get the Hess off the Baba, and then you have to cross the gap and still make it, you know, all the way back around. And then after you do that, you have to do Waterfall Hess, which, I mean, it's not as hard as Baba Hess, but it's still, like, not necessarily that easy. Like, it's easier when you have practice. But yeah, just pulling out of nowhere and just destroying the category. I mean, and Torje coming back to compete with that was really awesome to see. And I mean, just the shift in the category at the time was ridiculous, especially with triple slash clip, saving all that time on insta clip, getting rid of that, you know, pain point of the run. Really, really awesome how this category has developed over time. Just like the difference where it just motivates people to see like, hey, this is being done, like this is possible, even though this was considered like not RTA viable. Now this is RTA viable because people are doing it, and people are doing it well. And that's what's scary. That's how you know like a different caliber of what's possible. And
Yeah,
and that's what you're
say,
talking
like,
about, right?
what's almost as crazy as Baba has, honestly, is in the beat Ganon is the ISG-less second phase Ganon that Torje and Lazute started doing. I found that to be far more terrifying, honestly, than Baba has.
Yeah, it's the make or break point of the run. I think it's like in terms of difficulty, it's not as difficult as Baba Hess, but in terms of like where you're at mentally at that point in the run on a pacer, like I mean, we've all like if you speedrun this game and you're on PB pace, we've all experienced the flubs at Ganon, and you know when you get it right, like how good it feels to finally clutch it out and to get that time. But you know, doing a strat that you know is like still faster and over just doing something that's safe and still relatively fast, even though it saves like maybe a second. I don't even know how much time it would save, but it's so minuscule. But that's like they push the game to its limit. They push the game to its absolute limit. And I mean, here today we're seeing, you know, some great runs from some great runners overall. So massive GGs to Habble for taking this race and Zeru for finishing out another run. I love to see that we're actually getting more finished runs today. We had some tragedies with the crashes, but
Yeah.
you know, here we are.
All right, and we have both runners here with us now. We'll first talk to Habble, our winner. Habble, that was a really fantastic race. Just a little hiccup there at Ganon, but honestly, like a really solid showing in the second fastest race of this tournament so far. Second fastest run. So how are you feeling after that?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm really curious how much time I actually lost on Ganon, but my splits fire wasn't running because I tried to scramble with the different start time and it didn't work.
It was really
That's why
like,
the start was really weird. I was so distracted
yeah.
by like the splits not starting right. I'm like, oh well, we can't restart. And my head's doing this like dance. That was really funny.
It's funny, we're like talking about some other stuff, and then we realized like, hey, like Habble was on a really great run here. So that was a very exciting race. Zeru coming up a little short here on the head-to-head, but you know, a couple mistakes here and there. What do you think? What do you think are some things that you can just do to you know, improve, but also take away in terms of some positive things from this race? Zeru, Zeru with us? Zeru is muted right now.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Muted again. I'm here, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, just asking how you feel about the race.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured that my mistake. It was actually very dumb. It's because after the first race, I lowered down the volume on my TV. And I didn't figure out that I wasn't listening clearly the audio cue I'm using for the Goma kill.
Right.
Because I learned Goma clip some weeks ago, but I didn't understand the tutorials online, so I came up with my own strat. It's more consistent than it looked now. But yeah, you need an audio cue, and my TV was very low on volume, so I wasn't listening clearly. And on the final try, I bust up the volume so I could clearly hear it more clearly and got it
Yeah,
at same try.
it's a
So yeah,
it's a tricky trick, and I don't know. I'm not sure what resources are out there. They're probably pretty old, you know, since it's a pretty outdated
they
pub.
I mean, I have a playlist with like quick references that are linked in the channel. So maybe I don't know if Gomaku is in
Oh,
there actually.
yeah. If
Gomaku
you,
should be in
so
that playlist.
Dan, so do you want to just say something about that, like in case anybody wants to know more about that, or?
Yeah, I made like a playlist with like every single trick in this category, pretty much. And linked it in the Kakariko Classic channel on the server.
Okay, yeah. So Dan has a playlist of Kakariko route strats in the Defeat Game Discord.
Yeah. Trying to
That
find it
people
right
can
now.
access.
Um,
Is it pinned? It would be great if it was
yeah, I
pinned.
should pin it probably.
But other than that, yeah, a great race between
Here
Habble
it
and
is.
Zeru, very exciting. And yeah, we will be back at 11 p.m.
Yeah. So that's
and I
in
believe
3 hours, 3.5 hours
yeah,
roughly.
3.5 hours roughly. We'll have Habble versus Chromie, followed by Zeru versus Chromie. So
Yeah.
get your coffee, get your energy drinks. It's gonna be a long night.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
not too long,
So-
but anyways, thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll be back a little bit later.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.